The arena went silent as the contestant hit the ground, her body crumpling like a marionette with cut strings. "Help," she rasped, clawing at the dry concrete, her voice lost in the roar of Beast City's floodlights. Cameras swiveled, capturing every twitch, while the crew stood frozen, unsure if this was the epic moment they'd been told to chase. High above, in a glass control booth, Jimmy Donaldson, MrBeast, the king of YouTube, gripped the edge of his desk, his knuckles white. "Cut the cameras," he barked, but his voice trembled. This wasn't the game changer he'd bet everything on. This was the moment his empire began to crack. Jimmy had always been a visionary, the kid from Greenville who saw the internet as a canvas for impossible dreams. At 16, he was uploading prank videos from his bedroom. By 26, in 2025, he was a global phenomenon with 400 million subscribers, a chocolate brand grossing $500 million, and a Prime Video deal that made Hollywood blink. His formula was simple: bigger, bolder, crazier. Give away a private island. Build a real-life Squid Game. Film 100 strangers surviving a month in a circle for $1 million. His fans ate it up, and X lit up with every upload. At Pop Base, MrBeast just gave away $10 million in 10 minutes. Insane. But Beast Games was his moonshot, a reality show with 1,000 contestants competing in a $14 million dystopian set for a $5 million prize, the biggest in TV history. It was supposed to redefine entertainment. Instead, it was redefining him. Beast City, a sprawling Toronto studio lot, was Jimmy's masterpiece, a labyrinth of steel and neon, with trapdoors, fake volcanoes, and a 200-foot maze that looked like Tron meets the Hunger Games. Contestants, baristas, firefighters, TikTokers, faced brutal challenges, scaling walls, solving puzzles, enduring 48-hour endurance tests. Jimmy had poured $20 million of his own money into it, on top of Amazon's $100 million, hiring top producers and a 200-person crew to make it the greatest show on earth. X buzzed with anticipation. At Culture Crave, Beast Games drops next month, $5 million prize. This is gonna break the internet. Jimmy lived for that buzz, refreshing X hourly to see his name trend. But 6 weeks into filming, the posts turned dark. Contestants started talking. Some hadn't eaten in 18 hours, relying on energy bars scavenged from craft services. Water stations, promised every 100 yards, were often empty, the crew too stretched to refill them. A nurse quit after treating 3 dehydration cases in one night, calling the set a sweatshop with cameras. Leaks hit X like wildfire. At Insider TV, Beast Games contestants report inhumane conditions. No food, no breaks, injuries ignored. Then came the lawsuit. 5 contestants sued for negligence, alleging hospitalizations, emotional distress, and 1 case of sexual harassment by a crew member, allegedly swept under the rug. The headlines were merciless: MrBeast's Nightmare Arena, and YouTube's Golden Boy faces reckoning. Jimmy sat in his office, a sleek cube overlooking Beast City's flickering lights, scrolling X on his phone. At Drama Alert, MrBeast sued over Beast Games chaos. Contestants say they were starved and pushed to breaking. His chest tightened. He'd brushed off criticism before, claims his charity videos exploited poverty, grumbles about his Feastables prices, but this was different. These were real people, not faceless haters. He'd built Beast City to inspire, not to break anyone. The door swung open, and Lena Carter stormed in. Lena, a former production assistant who'd been with Jimmy since his early warehouse days, had quit a month ago and hadn't held back. Her X thread, at Lena See Truth, had 2 million views. Working for MrBeast is a grind. 20-hour days, constant yelling, impossible deadlines. Jimmy's obsessed with epic, but it burns everyone else out. Now, she stood before him, her eyes blazing. "You see the lawsuit?" she said, voice like a blade. "This isn't just bad press, Jimmy. You hurt people. "I didn't know it was this bad," Jimmy said, slumping in his chair. "I was focused on the vision, making something no one's ever seen." "That's your excuse?" Lena snapped. "You built a city but forgot the people in it. Contestants collapsing? Crew sleeping on cots? That's your vision?" He wanted to fight back, to point out the $2 million he'd spent on safety, the medics he'd hired, the meal plans that somehow never reached the set. But the truth hit harder. He'd trusted his team, producers, managers, logistics, to handle the details while he chased the big picture. He'd ignored the whispers, the exhausted faces, the paramedics' resignation letter he'd skimmed and tossed. Beast City was his machine, and he'd let it run wild. "I'm stopping production," he said finally. "We're fixing this. I'm meeting the crew tomorrow." Lena crossed her arms. "An apology video won't cut it. You can't edit this away." "I know," Jimmy said, standing. "I'm not hiding. I'll face it." The next morning, he stood in Beast City's main arena, the set silent without contestants. The 200-person crew faced him, some weary, some angry. Jimmy held a mic, no cameras, no script. His usual grin was gone, replaced by something raw, almost broken. "I messed up," he said, voice echoing off the steel walls. "Beast Games was supposed to be legendary, but I let you down. You've been working insane hours. Contestants suffered. I didn't see it, and that's on me. I'm sorry." The crew stirred. A lighting tech, Maria, shouted, "Sorry doesn't fix my sprained wrist from hauling gear 16 hours straight." Others nodded, arms crossed. Jimmy swallowed. "You're right. Words don't cut it. Starting today, everyone gets paid overtime. Full-time medics, not just on-call. Contestants get proper food, rest, and medical checks. Maria, your medical bills are covered. Anyone else hurt, come to me." He scanned the crowd. "And the harassment claims? We're investigating every one. Anyone guilty is fired, no excuses. I'm not building a show on broken backs." Some clapped, but skepticism lingered. Jimmy knew trust was a long road. Over the next week, he dove into the chaos. He fired his lead producer, a Hollywood vet who'd dismissed complaints as drama. He hired a safety firm to audit Beast City, mandating water stations every 50 yards and strict break schedules. He met contestants one-on-one, a dad who'd torn a ligament, a student who'd had a panic attack in the maze. Their stories gutted him, but he listened, promising compensation and therapy. Lena, still skeptical, stayed on as an unpaid consultant. "You're doing the minimum," she told him over takeout in his office. "Fixing the set doesn't fix your culture. You push too hard, crew, contestants, yourself." Jimmy stared at the Beast City skyline, its neon dimmed. "Pushing hard is how I got here. It's how I turned a webcam into this." "Pushing breaks people," Lena said. "You've got the platform, the cash. Use it to show what's possible when you value them." Her words echoed as he rebuilt. He scaled back Beast Games, cutting half the challenges to prioritize safety. He gave the crew a paid week off and held open forums, hearing stories of burnout and favoritism. X stayed brutal. At TMZ, MrBeast scrambles to save Beast Games. Too little, too late. But glimmers of hope emerged. A contestant posted, at BeastFanX, back on Beast Game set. "Food's better, breaks are real. Jimmy's actually listening." The relaunch was rocky. Ratings dipped as some fans, burned by the scandal, tuned out. But transparency became Jimmy's weapon. Beast Games premiered with a cold open, Jimmy, no filters, addressing the camera. "We failed. People got hurt. We learned, and we're here to make it right." The show leaned into its flaws, showcasing contestants' resilience and crew dedication. The finale, where a librarian from Texas won $5 million, trended globally. At Variety, Beast Games finale hits 300 million views. MrBeast's comeback? Jimmy sat in his office, now lined with safety logs and crew thank yous. Lena dropped by, showing him X, at Crew Voice, worked Beast Games 2.0. Overtime, respect, real change. Not perfect, but it's something. She smirked. You didn't tank. He laughed, but his eyes were heavy. I almost did. I'm not done fixing this, or me. Keep going, Lena said. The world's still watching. Jimmy looked out at Beast City, its lights soft in the dusk. He'd built an empire on spectacle, but the cost had been human. Beast Games wasn't just a show anymore. It was a lesson. Greatness wasn't about breaking records. It was about lifting others up. Even when the cameras stopped rolling, Jimmy leaned back in his chair, the glow of Beast City's dimmed lights reflecting in his office window. The Beast Games finale had aired a week ago, and the numbers were staggering: 300 million views, trending on X for 72 hours straight, and a flood of posts calling it a comeback. At Pop Culture X, MrBeast pulls it off. Beast Games is messy, raw, and somehow iconic. But as he scrolled through the praise, a quieter post caught his eye. At former Beast crew, the show's a hit, but the scars are real. Don't forget the people who made it. The words hit like a punch. Jimmy had saved the show, but the battle for trust was far from won. The weeks after the premiere were a blur of interviews, meetings, and damage control. Jimmy had learned to face the cameras with honesty, a shift from his old playbook of charm and deflection. On a late-night talk show, he admitted, I built Beast Games to be epic, but I didn't see the cost. People got hurt, and I'll carry that forever. The host nodded, but X was split. At FanBeast for Life, respect to Jimmy for owning it, versus, at TruthTeller99, too late, dude. You knew and did nothing. The criticism stung, but Jimmy welcomed it. Hiding hadn't worked. Owning the mess was the only path forward. Back in Toronto, Beast City stood quiet, its maze and arenas empty. Jimmy had paused all production, redirecting his team to focus on reform. He'd kept Lena Carter on as a consultant, her blunt honesty a lifeline. Over coffee in a cramped studio break room, she laid it out: the show's a win, but your brand's still bleeding. Contestants are talking lawsuits. Crew's still burned out. You can't just throw money at this. I'm not, Jimmy said, rubbing his eyes. I'm changing how we work. No more 20-hour days. No more epic at all costs. I'm listening. Lena raised an eyebrow. Listening's a start, but culture's harder. You've got a machine that chews people up. Fix that, or Beast Games 2 will crash harder. Her words drove him to action. Jimmy launched what he called Beast Reset, a top-down overhaul of his company. He hired a human resources firm to survey the crew, uncovering stories of favoritism, ignored complaints, and pressure to cut corners. A veteran cameraman admitted he'd stayed silent about unsafe rigging to keep his job. A makeup artist described being berated for taking a sick day. Jimmy read every report, his stomach churning. He'd built a juggernaut, but its gears were grinding people down. The first step was accountability. Jimmy held a town hall in Beast City's arena, this time with former contestants invited. Over 300 people packed the space, their faces a mix of hope and distrust. He took the mic, no notes. I let a toxic culture grow, he said. I pushed for bigger, faster, louder, and it hurt you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance to make it right. He outlined the changes: a strict 40-hour workweek with mandatory overtime pay, a zero-tolerance policy on harassment, and an anonymous reporting system. Contestants would get retroactive compensation for injuries, plus access to free counseling. He'd also created a crew advisory board, led by workers like Maria, the lighting tech who'd called him out. You'll hold me accountable, he told them. If I slip, you call it. The crowd was quiet, then a former contestant, a mechanic named Darius, stood. I tore my ACL in your maze, he said. Got rushed to the ER, no follow-up. Why should I trust you now? Murmurs rippled. Jimmy met his gaze. You shouldn't, not yet, he said. Your medical bills are covered, and I'm paying for your rehab. But trust comes from actions. Stick around. Watch me. Darius sat, unconvinced, but the room felt lighter. X caught wind, with posts like, at Beast Watch, Jimmy's trying. Paid my hospital bill, got me therapy. Still watching, but it's something. Jimmy's next fight was internal. His inner circle, managers and producers who'd thrived in the old chaos, resisted the changes. His CFO warned that overtime and compensation would eat millions, risking his chocolate brand's expansion. You're killing our margins, the CFO said in a tense boardroom meeting. Jimmy slammed his hand on the table. Margins don't mean shit if we're breaking people. We do this right, or we don't do it. He fired 2 managers who'd ignored harassment reports, a move that sent shockwaves through the company. X buzzed, at MrBeast, MrBeast cleans house. Toxic execs out. Is this real change? It was real, but it cost him. Loyalists grumbled, and a few quit, calling him soft. Jimmy didn't care. He'd rather lose allies than repeat the past. The hardest part was facing himself. Late at night, alone in his office, Jimmy replayed the Beast Game scandal, the lawsuits, the leaks, the faces of contestants like the woman who'd collapsed. He'd always seen himself as the good guy, the kid giving away millions to strangers. But Beast Games showed a darker side, obsessed with scale, blind to the human toll. Lena's words haunted him, you push too hard, yourself included. He hadn't taken a day off in years, living on Red Bull and adrenaline. That had to change. He started small, taking weekends to visit his mom in North Carolina, playing basketball with old friends. He even tried therapy, something he'd once laughed off. You're not a machine, his therapist said. You can't fix the world if you're broken. Slowly, Jimmy began to see his limits, not as weakness, but as clarity. By spring 2026, Beast Games Season 2 was greenlit, but smaller, with 500 contestants and a $2 million prize. Beast City was revamped, better ventilation, permanent medics, and a simplified maze. The crew worked 8-hour shifts, with morale higher than ever. Maria, now on the advisory board, texted Jimmy after a smooth shoot, "Not bad, boss. Keep it up." Contestants noticed, too, with one posting, at Beast Player X, Season 2 feels human. Food's good, staff's chill. Jimmy's not BSing. The premiere was no blockbuster, but it was steady, pulling 150 million views. X debates raged, at Critic X, Beast Games 2 is safer but less wild. Did Jimmy lose his edge? But Jimmy didn't chase the old hype. He'd learned spectacle wasn't enough. The Real win was a set where no one collapsed, where crew went home to their families, where contestants felt valued. One night, Lena dropped by his office, holding a tablet with X analytics. You're trending, she said, smirking. Half say you're redeemed, half say you're dodging accountability. Typical. Jimmy grinned, tired but lighter. Let M talk. I'm not done. You're not, Lena said. But you're not the same kid who built this circus. That's something. As she left, Jimmy looked out at Beast City, its lights a quiet hum. He'd chased epic and nearly lost everything. Now, he was building something better, not just a show, but a legacy where people came first. The Beast wasn't gone, but it was learning to listen. Jimmy stood at his office window. Beast City's lights a faint pulse in the Toronto dusk. Beast Games Season 2 was a modest hit, pulling steady views and cautious praise on X. At Beast Fan X, Season 2's solid. No one's fainting. Progress. but the victory felt fragile. Every step forward carried the weight of the past, lawsuits, leaks, and the faces of those he'd failed.